All right. Namaskaram, Sat Sri Akal, Jai Jinendra, and Vande Matram, everyone. Sarvebhyo Namaha. Welcome to Karmik Kshetra. Thank you for joining me today. And the topic of today's monologue is advocacy mindset. Okay, so in last 5 to 6 years has been like very pivotal in terms of increased visibility of the Hindu advocacy, yeah, especially if you're in North America and UK. Um, Even though the advocacy part has often been vilified as supremacy or fascism, but if you look at on the ground facts, and it has focused on dispelling false narratives about the Hindu faith, bringing forward the historical injustices committed on this section of population by various colonial and supremacist powers, and talking about like tales of our resistance to these powers, tales that were buried and hidden by communist historians who took over the country's history departments. Uh, And while there is a lot of noise around social media, one of the common complaints of the organizations, be it India or abroad, working for Hindu causes, and I'm saying advocacy on the ground and not the social service or religious teachings, which is a separate branch of, I won't really call it advocacy. It will be more from a religious service or teachings perspective. But when we talk about the advocacy on the ground, one of the most common complaints has been the support from the Hindu community. And this goes into financial as well as non financial. Uh, while things are changing, they need to change significantly more in order for the Hindu advocacy to come at par with the advocacy of other religions, particularly Abrahamic religions. Um, at a larger level, I would call it an advocacy mindset, which aims to ensure that the community interests are considered in our personal decisions as well. So it's rather a behavioral change that uh, I'm talking about. And talk about a couple of points here to to clarify or to explain what I'm trying to say. Uh, so let's take the first point, which is investing your money. And like so here, I don't mean a stock market or ETF, mutual funds kind of investments. I'm talking about daily spendings. Uh, but looking at it also from the point of view of investment, because even when you're spending, your money is going somewhere, right? So it's in a sort of an investment. You are investing in a particular product, you're investing in a particular service. So in our case, let's say, be it the movies we watch, the products we buy, the books we read, the online subscriptions we have, the organizations we donate to, or simply the time we donate to or devote to the activities such as volunteering. Do you think about in whose hands your money ends up when you spend it? Without thinking consciously and actively investing monetarily or non monetarily into these aspects, the narrative will only be dominated by the entities which are very well coordinated, organized, and working against the Hindu community's best interest. So, here I'm really talking about your daily spending, thinking about which products you're buying, where they come from, which companies are manufacturing them, what are they, what is their approach. Although I wouldn't say like companies necessarily need to have an approach uh, towards a religious community. It's not necessary, and having a neutral approach is not a crime. or having not no have no approach is also not a crime. uh, but there are some companies who have a history of having a particular negative attitudes towards Hindu community or Hindu festivals or Hindu culture, things like that. Are you taking all those things into consideration when you are making your decisions with respect to your purchases? And I know it may seem like a very marathon task, especially when you have an ecosystem working against you, but it generally takes years, sometimes decades, to either balance the ecosystem or build a counter ecosystem that effectively presents the other side of the story. So, um, while it may not give you results right away, it's also important to think of this from your dharmic duty towards the community. Whether your decisions in terms of where you put your money, how it is impacting, because the results will show collectively, but that collective effort starts from you. Like, you are a part of that collective effort, so you cannot exclude yourself. Oh, again, mere akele se kya hoga, like what I alone will do, because every single drop counts, and decisions you make to some extent does have an impact on the community as well. So, and in terms of more direct impact on the community, there are like many content creators, authors, organizations that are working tirelessly to put out the correct and authentic word of Hindus to counter the one sided colonial and biased narrative. And there are many who are working on the ground to ensure that Dharma prevails. And supporting and amplifying these voices is the least one could do. And like one of the easiest and the least effort thing within that is to just follow and amplify these voices on social media. Have, increase their outreach, increase their visibility. Although, like, more is definitely required. So that is about like investing your money, and the next couple of points are also somewhat related to investing your money, but these are specific areas I would like to talk about, because they impact probably like more directly into the ecosystem that we want to build, um, which, even if not pro Hindu community, it should not be anti Hindu either. So we talked about the investing in your money. Now I'll talk about, in terms of literature, which has a more direct impact. So when you say in terms of another area where you can directly impact is, buying books, um, because a lot of the anti-Hindu narrative comes from the literature which has been built over so many decades, and that cannot be undone overnight. It requires a consistent effort to build authorship in the non-left, which projects the true stories of Hindus, and for and but uh, you cannot build authors just by writing the books. Those books have to sell as well. So, buying books of authors such as Meenakshi Jain, Vikram Sampath, Sanjeev Sanyal, J. Sai Deepak, Sanjay Dikshit, Francois Gautier, David Frawley, and like so many, Rajiv Malhotra, Nityanand Mishra. Buy books of these authors and like many others which you come across. Even historic authors such as Sitaram Goel or Ram Swarup are more than worth a read. One can also support books from like Garud Prakashan or Gita Press or other Indian publication houses that publish such books. Um, and this becomes actually all the more important. And the why I'm talking about Indian publication houses, after the Bloomsbury's censorship of books, uh, under the pressure of certain Western anti-Hindu authors, it becomes all the more important to have our own ecosystem. Like the Bloomsbury episode sent out a message that the West can silence Indian authors at any time if they don't, subscribe to the Western propagated or Western approved narratives. So that makes it more important to have an Indian ecosystem available to encourage free flows of ideas and free and more free from the Western censorship, because you don't want to be dependent on the West to have your voice heard. And we have seen, like, one example I really one I'm excited about is how the Indian financial industry or Indian payment, if I have to be more specific, Indian payment system has become sort of independent from the West now that we have UPI and RuPay cards uh, that are not really dependent on. Uh, I'm not a financial expert, but from what I see, it uh, I guess um, it has sort of detached itself from the Western uh, uh, clutches, and so that is a very important lesson for us, that when we create systems which are independent of foreign intervention, that's when you gain the true control of your voice, and like uh, ensuring that nobody can curb your voice just because they don't like it or they don't agree to what you're saying. So in terms of our literature ecosystem also, I think we need to create these big publication houses who will uh, ensure that our voices are heard. So that is with respect to buying books. The next point I wanted to talk about was with respect to supporting digital or online independent content creators. And this is very critical in terms of because right now major play is going on in the digital content creation space. And the Daily Wire is a perfect example of how an alternate ecosystem was created by offering platform to the voices that were otherwise censored in an established ecosystem. So currently there are many such emerging voices that bring you fact based and not anecdote or emotion based sane analysis and the Hindu perspective of things, free from the colonial mindset without blindly imposing Western construct on Indian realities. So you have digital media, news media. Unfortunately, there's only one such space as of now, where there are extremely few high quality players in the likes of Swarajya magazine. I hope there'll be more. There are a few others like Op India and Do Politics that requires continuous support, and I feel they need to up their game as well. I hope they will very soon. Um, and when the traditional media has taken a hit big time in terms of credibility, uh, people are moving to the alternate media, especially digital media, to understand issues, uh, which is, and that's why it is critical to have uh, 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 a position in that space. Fortunately, there are also like many independent content creators on YouTube, such as Sham Sharma Show by Shambhav Sharma, there's Javaka Podcast by Kushal Mehra, there's Sangam Talks, there's AKTK, there's India This Week by Amna Ansari and Khalid Beg, and there's Jaipur Dialogues, Abhi and New, and many others who are creating small videos and podcasts to bring in an Indic perspective on the issues. And then there are also channels like FitTuber, who is spreading the fitness message while drawing inspiration from our priceless heritage. So one must support these channels directly on YouTube through paid memberships, or through Patreon, or through whatever means available. Support them monetarily. Uh, whatever is your appetite to, with respect to financial support. But it's important to tell them that this is a sustainable, financially viable area for these content creators, and the way we send those message will be by being paid members to these YouTube channels, or any other platform through which we can, pay them. Some of these channels also have their merchandise stores from where one can purchase products and help these content creators earn money. So it's not necessarily just the membership. You can also support them by buying the products, or helping them with any other way uh, that can help them earn money. If you can't support monetarily, the least one can do is to give engagement to their content in terms of like, share, comment. That enables YouTube algorithm to promote videos to others. So make sure, like, whenever you watch their videos, and if it is useful, it helped you gain knowledge, it helped you gain perspective, make sure you like that video. Never leave that video without a like. And if possible, if you have a social media presence, or if you have, WhatsApp groups, share that content, and increase the reach of that video. Comment on that video, because that also helps drive up the engagement, and it will basically enable the YouTube to promote the video to others. So help those content creators. And watching full ads, I mean, if you don't have social media presence, you don't have any friends, you don't use WhatsApp as well, you just go to YouTube. A lot of these videos will have ads coming up. Watch the full ads, assuming like you have good amount of time. Just watch the ads, and even if possible, like, give, if you're really really motivated, like, give engagement to the ads as well by clicking on the ad. So it helps content creators earn and produce more such contents, because every single click on the ad as well, it helps content creators as well, because the ad on their video got more engagement. uh, in addition to the independent content creators, movies such as, Kashmir Files, that stand up against the establishment to could narrate the stories that were deliberately buried under the meme of secularism, also requires more proactive support. If I talk about Kashmir Files, I actually came across like very well intentioned people who said they haven't watched the movie as they heard it was very graphic. And I agree to them. Like, the movie showed really, um, I mean, I wouldn't say it was exactly the way it happened. Uh, Director had used a lot of self censorship to ensure that it doesn't become overly gory. I mean, if that is like one thing where probably he didn't show the reality as it is when in terms of violence. But even with that, it's the movie was quite graphic. And so a lot of people who are generally not comfortable with, let's say, violence and all, they refuse, like, they didn't they said like, oh, I don't feel like watching that movie. I told them to buy the ticket. Even if they don't intend to watch it, just buy the ticket. Consider this as your ahuti to the dharmic cause. You don't have to watch the movie if you don't want it, but be cognizant of the fact that movies like these need support, financial support. The creators of such movies need to know that they can make money as well, uh, because the money that they earn will encourage them to make more such movies, bring out more such stories which were otherwise censored. and even make a better quality movies. Even technically, I'm talking about. Uh, but all of that requires money. It requires profit to be made. Unfortunately, because of the Nehruvian socialism, we have all grown up to think that profit is a dirty word. Anybody who is aspiring to make profits is basically highly selfish, or they just want to squeeze out money from the poor or innocent people. Well, without profit, nothing happens. You have to make more money from the money what you already have to create something new. So it is important to support these kind of movies. And then there are like other high quality movies, plays, documentaries, short stories that need active support of Hindus. So be cognizant of these facts. And this is where the advocacy mindset comes in, um, because it serves two purposes. Like it provides financial support to the content creators who are investing their time, money, and energy into dharmic content or art. And secondly, it sends message to other content creators as well, like about what kind of content is liked by audience and where the money is. Because if people, for some people, like if they don't see money, they will just not create it. And especially like if they see money the other way, they will of course create more content like that. So the movies, the if some of you would have followed Gems of Bollywood, and yeah, I mean Gems of Bollywood, there's no and they pretty much have single-handedly exposed the Bollywood. But if you realize the reason those movies were created, because the movies before that on similar lines were popular, they became hit, there was money in it. So partly like we are to blame as well. So this is about like supporting online content creators. The last point I would want to make would be with respect to donations. And so I talked about like having your daily, or how to be have an advocacy mindset with respect to your daily expenses, how to have advocacy mindset with respect to the kind of books, assuming you like books. If you don't like books, first of all, there is no alternative to knowledge. Start liking books, start reading them. Read it. If you don't like to read paper books, read it on Kindle, read it on have audiobooks. There are, I think, there's some service called Kuku FM which has audiobooks. So have some or the other mechanism of gaining knowledge and supporting these authors, because without that, more such content will not be created. So if you don't like books, there's no other way. Start liking books, start reading them, listening them through audiobooks, whichever way possible. But that is one habit everybody needs to change who are concerned about Hindu civilization. And then I talked about the supporting of independent content creators. The last point I want to talk about, and this is where the direct impact of advocacy is, which is donating to the organization, the advocacy organization, and not necessarily just uh, Hindu advocacy organizations. There are organizations who are also working on very specific causes within the Hindu advocacy, and which is great, because you can some like you cannot do everything. It's better to do one thing really well than trying to do 10 things separately. So when it comes to organizations, like this is where Hindus need to put money where their mouth is. And uh, the organizations who are working for the causes that matter to them. So for example, like organizations like Nimitekam, which is a Jaipur based organization that is doing a stellar job of rehabilitating the religiously persecuted minorities of Pakistan, particularly Hindus and Sikhs, who are fleeing to India and needs a constant support and heavy support from the community and the corporates. So And the founder member of the organization, Sri Omendra Ratnuji, he launched a book very recently, Maharanas, A Thousand Year War on Dharma, for Dharma, which is on the Hindu resistance to foreign invaders, particularly the Sisodias of Mewar. So, such organizations need monetary as well as logistical support to do what it intends to do. And Nimitikam is doing really good job for Hindus who flee from Pakistan. They need to be rehabilitated. They need to be um, employed. They need to have all the bureaucratic work to be done because they come as refugees. They have to get the required documents so that they are able to work. Eventually, they need to get citizenship. So, all of that work requires effort and money. And without money, nothing happens. People if who are under impression, oh, this is such a noble work. Why are they asking for money? Every noble work requires money because you one I mean people who are volunteering for that organization are investing their time whe- when they could have done something else, probably earn more money, but they are rather investing their time here and helping uh, the underprivileged. So, and things require money, like even if you are not considering the operational cost, but just say helping someone, helping a persecuted minority, a Hindu from Pakistan, get the required documents. It requires fees to be paid. There'll be some legal work which will require a lawyer and things like that. So things require money. Nothing happens without money. So such organizations will need to be supported monetarily. And Hindus who care about CAA and more importantly the religious persecuted minorities of Pakistan should be supporting such organizations. There's also Seva Nyay Uthan, an initiative by the Swarajya magazine journalist Swati Goel Sharma and Sanjeev Neighbor, who is an author and an IIT IIM alumnus. So this organization intends to reach out to the marginalized who are not electorally attractive to receive government support. They help there. Then there are other organizations like Agniveer, Rashtrajyoti, Bharat Kevi, Hindu Seva Kendram, and so on that require significant support, especially institutional support. So, in addition, if you feel like supporting our gurus such as Baba Ramdev, Sri Jaki Vasudev, or Sri Ravi Shankar, buy products from Patanjali, Isha Life, or Sri Sattva, or join their programs and courses. I'm not saying especially with respect to products, this full disclosure, like I'm not saying just buy every product of there. Um, and some, not all products might be good. There might be some better alternatives, but then if the ones which are good, which are not harmful to your health or um, uh, are really good products, buy them if you can. Let's say if you have two good products, one from say Isha Life and one from some foreign company, PNG or HUL, buy the Isha Life one because that helps support the uh, programs that these gurus are running. So you can contribute through that. For people overseas, donating your money or time to organizations such as Kona that stand up for Hindu causes is imperative. You can also support like organizations like Hindu University of America that is doing tremendous work on spreading the knowledge on Sanatan Dharma. So they have like so many courses. They have language courses. They have courses on understanding Hinduphobia. They have courses around understanding various aspects of Hindu Dharma. So enroll for that courses. You will gain knowledge, and these organizations will get money. So I'm sure I'm missing like many authors, organizations, content creators in this list, and But the idea is like to start gradually and understand whose views make sense to you and whose causes touch your heart and who raises issues that matter to you the most. So I feel like Hindu community needs to wake up to this and start understanding where their money is going, what kind of things that they are supporting, and have a better understanding of what's going on around you, which entities are working to help the Hindu community, and more importantly, which entities are working to harm Hindu community and make sure that our money does not go there. So, with that, I end my today's episode. Do let me know your thoughts, critiques in the comment section. If you have listened so far, I really appreciate it. If you have liked the content, please press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon, as well as like if you are on YouTube. Uh, this will help me get encouragement to create more such content for you. This is Karma Kshetra signing off. Jai Somnath.